Monica walked into the tall glass building with confidence. She was dressed in a smart navy blue blouse and light beige slacks, her hair neatly styled, her face calm. The front desk security nodded politely, recognizing her face but unsure where. They'd seen her before. Monica smiled and headed to the elevator. Her husband, Marcus, was the CEO of the company, but hardly anyone in the office knew what his wife looked like. They preferred to keep their personal life private. Monica wasn't there for a tour. She had simply come to drop off some documents he had forgotten at home and decided to wait for him while he finished his meeting. She took a seat in the employee lounge. It was a quiet, open space with soft chairs, vending machines, and a small kitchen corner. She chose a seat by the window looking out at the busy city streets below. She scrolled through her phone while waiting. Then, footsteps echoed in the lounge. A woman walked in wearing high heels, tight black pants, and a crisp white blouse. Her name was Courtney. She was known in the office for being very proud of her title. She often acted like she was better than others and looked down on people who she thought were below her. She entered the lounge talking on the phone loudly, as if she wanted the whole office to hear her conversation. When she saw Monica sitting in a chair, her usual spot, her face changed. She ended her call quickly and marched over. "Excuse me," Courtney said, frowning. "That's my chair." Monica looked up, surprised. She gave a polite smile. "Oh, sorry. I didn't see any sign. I'll move in a moment." But Courtney didn't like waiting. "I don't think you understand. That's my seat. Everyone knows it." Monica gently placed her phone in her bag and started to rise. "It's okay. I can move." But before she could finish her sentence, Courtney turned sharply, walked to the fridge, pulled out a cold can of Coke, popped it open and, without a word, she threw it toward Monica. The cold drink splashed all over Monica's blouse and pants. She stood there, completely shocked. The room froze. A few employees who had been nearby gasped and looked around nervously. No one spoke. No one moved. Courtney crossed her arms and smirked. "Next time, maybe try asking before you take someone's seat." Monica didn't say a word. She looked at her wet clothes, took a deep breath, and calmly grabbed a tissue from the counter to dab at her blouse. Her hands didn't shake. Didn't raise her voice. She just looked at Courtney with quiet strength in her eyes. "Thank you," Monica said softly. "I'll leave now." Courtney laughed as if she had just won something. "Please do." Monica walked out of the lounge without another word. As she walked past the other employees, no one made eye contact. Some looked down at their coffee cups. Some looked away. No one tried to stop her. No one asked if she was okay. She took the elevator up to the executive floor and stepped into Marcus's office. His assistant greeted her kindly, surprised by her appearance but said nothing. When Marcus saw her standing in the doorway with her clothes soaked and sticky, his eyes widened. "What happened?" he asked, rushing over. Monica simply handed him the documents and told him everything, her voice calm but steady. She told him how a woman named Courtney had thrown a Coke at her after mistaking her for a low-level staff member or guest. She didn't cry. She didn't demand anything. She just explained the facts. Marcus listened quietly, his jaw clenched, his fists tightened, but he didn't yell. He knew this wasn't something to handle with anger. It was something that needed to be handled with wisdom. "Should I speak to HR right away?" he asked. Monica shook her head. "No, let it sit for now. Let's see what people choose to do when they don't know who I am." He looked at her, surprised by her strength. "You sure?" "I'm sure," she said. "Let people reveal themselves, then we'll respond." Marcus nodded. He understood what she meant. People show their true colors when they think no one important is watching. And sometimes you learn the most when you just stay quiet and observe. Monica changed into one of his extra shirts and slacks he kept in his closet. He made her tea, and they sat in his office for a while, talking softly. Meanwhile, back in the lounge, Courtney was still laughing with one of her coworkers about what had happened. She looked so confused, she giggled, like Lady No. "Your place. This isn't a soup kitchen." Her coworker chuckled nervously but didn't say much. Deep down, even he felt it had gone too far. But Courtney always got away with these things, so he stayed silent. By the end of the day, whispers started to move around the office. People began asking, who was that woman? Some thought she might have been a new intern or guest. Others wondered why she went straight up to the CEO's office. Courtney didn't care. Yes, she was still riding the wave of her little victory. She saw herself as a protector of class and space, someone who kept the office in order. She believed she had done the right thing. But what she didn't know, no one yet knew, was that the woman she embarrassed was not just anyone. Monica was the CEO's wife. The woman she threw coke at was someone with deep strength, dignity, and more influence than Courtney could ever imagine. In tomorrow's board meeting, where staff were encouraged to bring their partners, would show everyone the truth. The calm before the storm had begun, ChatGPT said. All around the office, people were talking in low voices. The news about the coke incident had spread faster than anyone expected. Some people felt bad, others were confused, and a few laughed like it was a funny story. But no one really knew who the woman was. You just knew that Courtney had thrown a coke can at her, and she had walked away without saying much. Courtney, on the other hand, acted like nothing serious had happened. She was in a cheerful mood the next morning. She wore a red dress, tall heels, and her usual confidence. She bragged about the story to anyone who would listen. Honestly, some people just don't belong in places like this, she said to her friend Dana, near the coffee machine. She looked like she didn't even have a purpose here. Dana gave a small smile and said nothing. She didn't agree, but she didn't have the courage to speak up. Like many others, she was used to Courtney being loud, rude, and full of herself. Courtney had powerful connections in the company. She was smart and knew how to win over the bosses at least. It's the ones who didn't know how she treated other employees behind closed doors. Down the hall, in the CEO's office, Monica sat with her husband Marcus. It was early, and the building was still quiet. Monica had come again, not because she had to, but because she wanted to be there. She wanted to see how the rest of the day unfolded. Her calmness hadn't changed. She still looked graceful, still kind, but there was now a small fire in her eyes, a fire that said she was watching closely. Marcus asked her one more time, "Are you sure you don't want to report her to HR now?" Monica shook her head. "I want to see what they do when they think no one important saw it. Sometimes people forget how they treat others when they think they're safe." Marcus respected her wisdom. "All right. But tomorrow, at the board meeting, everyone's going to see who you are." Monica smiled. That's the point. The office had a buzz of excitement. The quarterly board meeting was a big event. Top staff, investors, and department heads would attend. It was one of those formal meetings where families and partners were invited. The company always called it a celebration of teamwork. Most of the staff had already picked out what they would wear and talked about who they'd bring. It was a fancy event. Some employees even hired babysitters so they could enjoy the evening. Courtney, of course, was preparing for the meeting. In her usual showy style, she was busy trying to impress her boss and make sure her place in the company felt secure. She talked about her expensive dress, her heels, and how she was going to charm the new investors. She had no idea that the woman she threw coke at would be walking into that very room beside the most powerful man in the company. Back near the elevators, a few employees were quietly discussing what had happened the day before. "Do you think she'll come back?" one of them asked. "I heard she's someone important," another whispered. She walked right into the CEO's office. "Courtney really messed up this time," a third added. "She always thinks she owns the place." But no one had any answers. Just knew something felt different. And for once, some of them were hoping someone would finally stand up to Courtney. Later that day in the break room, Courtney walked in again, laughing loudly with her coffee in hand. She noticed two junior staff members quickly stop talking when she entered. "What's with the long faces?" she asked, still thinking. "About that woman from yesterday?" One of them looked uncomfortable. "I don't think that was right. What happened?" Courtney raised an eyebrow. "Excuse me, He paused. "Throwing a drink at someone? That's kind of serious." Courtney scoffed. "Oh, please. She didn't even belong here. She could have been anyone. A delivery person, a lost intern, whatever. She didn't yell or do anything." Other added softly. Courtney smirked. Exactly. If it had really been serious, she would have said something. Y'all worry too much. The room fell silent again. Meanwhile, back in Marcus's office, Monica had started making a few notes. In her journal, she had seen this kind of behavior before, not just in this company, but in many places. People mistaking kindness for weakness. People assuming that someone's value came from their title, not their character. She didn't believe in shouting or making scenes. She believed in truth showing itself when the time was right. That night, Marcus and Monica sat together at home. They had dinner in the garden, and the evening was peaceful. Marcus looked at his wife and said, "You know, you didn't deserve what happened. No one does." Monica nodded. "I know. But sometimes you have to walk through a storm quietly to let others hear the thunder." She made her choice. "Now we'll let the light shine on it." Marcus smiled. "Tomorrow's going to be interesting." Monica leaned back and looked up. At the sky, yes, it will be. The next morning, the building was filled with energy. Staff were dressed in formal clothes, flowers were placed at the entrance, and the main conference hall was beautifully decorated for the event. The air smelled of fresh pastries and coffee. Everyone was excited. Courtney walked in wearing a shiny blue gown and diamond earrings. She waved at the receptionist and walked around like she owned the building. "Today's going to be a big day," she said. Big people, big decisions. She didn't know just how big. At exactly 10 a.m., the elevators opened and in walked Marcus, the CEO, hand in hand with Monica, dressed in an elegant black dress, pearls around her neck, and confidence in her step. Her calm presence filled the room. Conversation stopped, heads turned. People stared in surprise. Courtney froze. The woman she had thrown coke at was now standing in front of the entire company with the CEO as his wife. Everything in Courtney's face dropped. Her eyes widened. Her lips parted slightly, but no words came out. She tried to smile, but her hands began to shake. Monica simply smiled back, just a little, and walked gracefully into the room with Marcus. Everyone else was in shock. Whispers grew louder. Employees began connecting the dots. The woman they ignored yesterday was the CEO's wife. The same woman who didn't fight back. Who stayed calm. Who said nothing but remembered everything. And now, the whole company would remember too. The large meeting room was filled with quiet tension as Monica and Marcus walked through the entrance. Everyone's eyes were on them. Monica didn't speak. She didn't need to. Her presence alone said everything. She looked elegant and strong, as if nothing from the day before had touched her peace. Her steps were light, but her posture was firm. She walked with confidence beside her husband, the CEO, and every person in that room felt the energy change the moment they saw her. Some staff members looked shocked. Others looked guilty. Few whispered to one another, now realizing who she really was. But Courtney was frozen. Her eyes followed Monica across the room. Her hands began to tremble slightly, and the color drained from her face. Tried to pretend nothing was wrong, but inside, her heart was racing. She whispered to Dana, "That can't be the same woman, can it?" Dana didn't respond. She just gave Courtney a quick glance, as if to say, "You're on your own now." Marcus helped Monica into her seat near the front row, reserved for family and partners. Then he walked to the podium to begin his opening remarks. People were still murmuring, but he raised his hand slightly, asking for silence. "Good morning, everyone," he said with a calm but powerful voice. "Thank you for being here today at our quarterly board meeting. This is a time for reflection, celebration, and honest conversation." He looked around the room slowly, letting his words settle. "This company is not just about numbers and results," he continued. "It's about people. It's about how we treat each other when no one is watching. It's about the choices we make when we think no one is paying attention." Some people glanced at Courtney, as others just looked down at their hands. Marcus kept speaking, his tone steady. "We often speak about leadership, success, and reputation. But today, I want to speak about something more important: character." Everyone was listening closely. They could feel where this was going. "Yesterday, someone very important to me came into this building," he said. "Not as a businesswoman, not as a consultant, not even as my wife. She walked in as a person expecting respect and common kindness, the same way every visitor and employee deserves. And what happened next revealed more than I could have imagined. There was complete silence in the room now. I won't name names. That is not my way. But what I will say is this. The way we treat others reflects who we are more than our job titles ever will. Courtney's face was stiff. Her hands were clasped together tightly in her lap. Her eyes were fixed on the floor. Monica, meanwhile, sat calmly, her expression soft but thoughtful. She didn't smile. She didn't frown. She simply listened. Marcus took a small pause, then finished his speech. As we move forward, I want every person in this company to remember true success starts with respect. That's the culture I expect, and that's the culture we'll continue to build together. There was soft applause. It's not loud or forced, but real, honest, thoughtful. People clapped not just because it was polite, but because the message had touched them. After the speech, the meeting continued with reports, discussions, and presentations. But the mood in the room had shifted. The Coke incident wasn't just gossip anymore, it had become a lesson. A quiet but powerful example of what it means to treat people with dignity. During a short break, people gathered near the snack table. Conversations buzzed again, but this time with more care. "I can't believe it," one employee whispered. "Courtney really threw a drink at the CEO's wife." Monica didn't even yell at her, another added. She just walked away. "That's real grace." She could have ruined her on the spot, but she didn't. Monica stepped outside the meeting room for a few minutes to get fresh air. A few staff members approached her quietly. "Ma'am, I just want to say I'm really sorry," said a young woman from the finance department. "I saw what happened yesterday. I didn't say anything, but I should have." Monica looked at her gently. "Thank you for saying that. It takes strength to admit something like that." Another man one of the interns stepped up to. "It wasn't right what she did. You didn't deserve that." "No one does." Monica smiled. "Kindness isn't weakness, and silence isn't agreement. But we all learn in different ways." She didn't speak with anger or pride. She spoke like someone who had seen these moments. Before I knew that lessons stick best when they're not shouted. Back inside the room, Courtney finally stood up and walked toward Monica. Her steps were slow. Her usual loud energy was gone. She looked nervous, her lips tight. "Hi," she said softly. "I just wanted to say, I didn't know who you were, I thought." Monica turned to her calmly. "You thought I didn't?" "Matter." Courtney's face flushed. "No, I was having a bad day." Monica paused, looking at her for a moment. "We all have bad days, but how we treat people on those days shows who we are." Courtney tried to smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. "I didn't mean any harm." Monica raised her eyebrows slightly. "But you did harm." There was a long pause. Courtney didn't know what else to say. She finally nodded, whispered a soft "I'm sorry," and turned to leave. Monica didn't stop her. She had no desire to embarrass her. She wasn't seeking revenge. She had already won without saying a word, without raising her voice, and without throwing anything back. Later that day, Marcus and Monica left the meeting together. As they passed through the building, people smiled at them warmly. They saw Monica differently now, not just as the CEO's wife, but as a woman of strength, patience, and quiet power. In the car, Marcus asked her, "Did that go how you hoped?" Monica nodded. People needed to see it for themselves. Truth always comes to light. He took her hand in his. "You were amazing." She smiled softly. "I didn't have to be loud to be heard." As their car drove away, the building behind them was no longer the same. People had seen what real dignity looked like, and the woman who was once humiliated in silence had now become a symbol of true strength, grace in the face of cruelty, calm in the face of arrogance. And for Courtney, the lesson had just begun. After the board meeting, the atmosphere in the office shifted. The story about the Coke incident was no longer just gossip or a silly joke. It had become something serious. People started talking quietly in the hallways, sharing their own stories. About Courtney. Some employees whispered about times when she had been rude, unfair, or unkind. They spoke about the little things, mean comments, cutting remarks, ignoring others' ideas, and acting like she was better than everyone else. One by one, these stories grew louder. A few brave employees went to human resources to report what they had seen and experienced. They wanted the company to know that the Coke incident was not an isolated moment. It was part of a pattern. I talked about how Courtney's behavior made it hard for them to do their jobs and made the workplace uncomfortable. HR listened carefully. They promised to take the complaints seriously. Soon, an investigation began. The company's leaders reviewed emails, talked to staff, and looked at past performance reviews. It became clear that Courtney had a history of bullying and disrespecting others. Meanwhile, Monica continued to work quietly in the background. She was asked to give a formal statement about the incident. She agreed. In her statement, she told the truth simply and honestly. She described how she was treated and how she had reacted. She did not ask for punishment. Instead, she wanted the company to learn and grow. Marcus stayed out of the decision-making process. He knew it would be better if the company handled this without his influence to avoid any appearance of favoritism. The board agreed and left the matter to HR and legal. Courtney tried to keep her usual confident front. She acted as if nothing had changed. She came to work, smiled at coworkers, and tried to laugh off the situation. But inside she was nervous. The quiet talks, the meetings behind closed doors, and the looks from colleagues all made her uneasy. One afternoon, she was called to a meeting with HR and legal. The room was small and serious. Several people sat around the table, ready to hear her side. Courtney sat down, trying to stay calm. "We have received multiple complaints about your behavior," the HR manager said softly, but firmly. "The incident with Ms. Monica was the final straw. We have evidence that shows a pattern of misconduct." Courtney's face turned pale. She tried to explain, "I didn't mean to hurt anyone. Sometimes work is stressful. I was just trying to keep things professional." The HR manager nodded. "I understand stress happens. But professionalism means treating others with respect, even under pressure. Your actions have broken our policies about workplace conduct." After the meeting, Courtney left the office with a heavy heart. The company decided it was best for her to leave. Her contract was terminated. Security escorted her out quietly without drama. But the message was clear. The company would not tolerate this kind of behavior. Back in the office, many employees were relieved, felt safer and more hopeful about their work environment. Some whispered that change was finally coming. Monica continued her work, but now with a new role. The board asked her to help lead a new program focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion. They wanted her to guide the company in creating a kinder, more respectful culture. Accepted the role with humility, but also determination. Her first speech to the company was full of warmth and truth. "Respect is not just a word," she told the team. "It is how we choose to see and value each other. Every person here deserves to be treated with kindness, no matter their title or role." Employees listened carefully. They saw in Monica not only a strong woman, but a wise leader who understood their struggles. The company began new training sessions, open conversations, and support groups. Managers were taught to spot and stop bullying. Staff were encouraged to speak up without fear. One afternoon, Monica and Marcus walked through the office together. Staff smiled and greeted them warmly. Some even thanked Monica quietly for what she had done. She smiled back, feeling grateful for the change. Courtney, now outside the company, faced a difficult time. Her reputation had been damaged, and she struggled to find a new job. The sense of untouchability she once had was gone. But Monica never gloated. She knew that true strength came from forgiveness and moving forward. She often thought about the moment when the Coke was thrown. It was painful, yes, but it also became the start of something new, something better for everyone. In the end, Monica had shown that respect and dignity were not just for the powerful. They were for all people, every day, in every moment. And that truth made all the difference. After everything that had happened, the company was not the same. The incident with Courtney and Monica had opened eyes, The leadership realized that respect and kindness were not just nice ideas, they were necessary for success. Monica had become more than just the CEO's wife. She had become a symbol of strength and dignity. The board decided to create a new program to improve workplace culture. They asked Monica to help lead it because of her calm wisdom and the respect she earned from staff. Monica accepted the role, feeling both honored and responsible. She wanted to help make sure no one else would ever be treated like she had. Monica started by meeting with small groups of employees. She listened carefully to their stories and concerns. Some spoke about times they felt invisible or ignored.
Wow.
Others shared experiences of feeling judged or left out because of their background or role. Monica thanked each person for their courage and promised that their voices would be heard. She gave speeches about respect, inclusion, and kindness. She reminded everyone that success was about people working together, not about who had the highest title. Her words were simple but powerful, and they made people think. The company also began training sessions to teach managers how to create fair and welcoming teams. New policies were introduced to prevent bullying and discrimination. People were encouraged to speak up if they saw or experienced anything wrong. Slowly, the workplace began to change. Employees started to smile more. They helped each other. New friendships formed across departments. The office felt warmer and more like a community. Monica and Marcus would sometimes walk through the halls together. Staff greeted them with smiles and respect. Some stopped to thank Monica quietly for her work. She accepted their thanks with a gentle smile, knowing that real change took time and patience. Courtney, meanwhile, had left the company. She found it hard to find a new job. Word had spread about her behavior, and many places did not want someone. With her reputation, she spent a lot of time thinking about what had happened. Some days were difficult, but slowly she began to understand the price of her actions. Monica never spoke badly about Courtney. She believed in moving forward, not holding on to anger. She understood that everyone makes mistakes, but it is how we learn and grow that matters. Looking back on the whole experience, Monica felt proud. The moment when the Coke was thrown was painful, but it became a turning point. It showed everyone that kindness and respect are stronger than anger and cruelty. Her quiet strength had changed the company's culture. It had helped people see each other differently. It had created a space where everyone could feel valued and safe. Most importantly, it reminded everyone that dignity belongs to all of us, no matter who we are or where we come from. Monica knew there would still be challenges ahead, but she was ready. With Marcus by her side and a team willing to listen, she believed the best days were still to come. The story of that day-to-day, a simple act of disrespect, became a lesson in grace, would be told again and again. Not as a tale of shame, but as a reminder of the power of kindness, courage, and respect in the workplace and in life.